Imagine this. You're paying for your coffee, and the cashier hands you a random quarter. You pocket it without a second thought. But what if that simple little coin was actually worth $7 million? That's right, 7 million. Sounds crazy, right? But there's a 2017 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter out there that could make you an instant millionaire. And guess what? It might be hiding in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or even that random change jar sitting on your kitchen counter. Stick around because I'm going to tell you exactly what makes this quarter so valuable, how to spot one, and why you should never ignore your spare change again. Alright, let's break this down. The 2017 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series. This one features the Statue of Liberty with Ellis Island in the background, commemorating one of the most historic immigration sites in the U.S. But not all of these quarters are worth millions. Only a very specific type. So what makes this quarter worth $7 million? A few key things. First, there's a super rare minting error where part of the Statue of Liberty's torch is missing. Yep, the very thing she's most famous for just vanished during the minting process. Maybe it was a Monday at the US Mint, and someone wasn't paying attention. But this tiny mistake? Worth millions. Then, there's the insane double die error. This means some of these quarters were struck twice, making Lady Liberty look like she's in 3D without needing those funky red and blue glasses. If your quarter has a weird, shadow-like doubling on the lettering or Liberty's face, you might just be sitting on a fortune. And the rarest of the rare? A few of these were mistakenly struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel ones. That's like ordering a regular cheeseburger and getting a 5-star gourmet meal instead. The weight, the sound, and even the shine are different. If your quarter looks too fancy, it could be worth millions. So how do you know if you've got one of these golden tickets? Grab a magnifying glass. Or let's be real, just use the zoom on your phone. Check for any missing details on the torch or weird doubling on the design. Do the sound test. Drop it on a hard surface and listen. If it gives off a high-pitched ting instead of a dull clank, you might have a silver planchet error. Weigh it. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If yours is a little off, it could be a jackpot coin. Personal story now, let me tell you about my cousin Mike. Mike is the kind of guy who thinks collecting coins is a waste of time. One day, he's over at my house, and I'm sorting through my change. He looks at me and says, "Dude, why are you wasting time with pennies and quarters?" I told him, "Because some of these are worth real money." He laughed, grabbed a quarter from my pile, and went, "All right, what's this one worth?" I looked at it, and my heart stopped. It was a 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter with a doubling error. I told him, that's worth at least a few thousand." The man went silent. He had just spent 10 of these at the gas station earlier that day. You have never seen a man so devastated in your life. He even debated going back to the gas station to check their register. Moral of the story? Always check your change. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? The 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter could be worth $7 million. But only if it has the right errors, missing torch details, a double die mistake, or a rare silver strike. Now it's time to go on a treasure hunt. Check your pockets. Check your car. Check that random change jar in the kitchen. You never know what's hiding in plain sight. And if you love learning about rare coins that could make you rich, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos all the time about valuable coins, coin hunting tricks, and how to turn your spare change into serious cash. Imagine this: you're at a gas station, you hand over a crumpled $5 bill, the cashier gives you some change, you barely glance at it, and shove it in your pocket. But wait, what if one of those quarters was worth $1 million? Yep, you heard that right. The 2000 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter has a version out there that collectors are willing to drop $1 million on. That's the kind of money that could get you a dream car, a house, or just a lifetime supply of pizza and Netflix. So before you mindlessly spend that quarter on a gumball, stick around, because I'm about to tell you what makes this little coin so valuable and how to find one in your own pocket change. Alright, let's get into the details. The 2000 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was part of the State Quarter series, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and showcased iconic locations across the US, but not all of these quarters are created equal. So why is this one worth $1 million? Glad you asked. First, there's a rare minting Error that makes it stand out: some of these quarters were accidentally struck on Sacagawea dollar planchets. Yes, you heard that right, these quarters were printed on the wrong metal planchets, which gives them a golden appearance. If your quarter has that goldish tone, you might just be holding a tiny fortune. Second, look for doubling on the lettering. The phrase United States of America or e pluribus unum might appear slightly doubled, which is a rare variety called a double die error. This is the kind of thing collectors go nuts over. And third, some of these coins were struck with an off-center error where part of the design is shifted. If Washington's face looks like he's trying to sneak out of the coin, you might have hit the jackpot. Now you might be thinking, okay, cool, but how do I check if I have one simple grab a magnifying glass or just zoom in with your phone camera? If your 2000p quarter looks goldish, has doubling in the letters, or has a misalignment, you could be in business. Oh, and if it has all three of these errors, you might as well start planning your millionaire lifestyle. Personal story: let me tell you about my cousin Jake. Jake is not a coin guy. In fact, he used to laugh at me for collecting pennies and quarters while he spent his on energy drinks and arcade games. One day, he's over at my place and I'm sorting through my coin collection. He rolls his eyes and says, "Dude, it's just change, who cares?" So I decide to prove a point. I grab a handful of quarters from a jar on my shelf and tell him, let's see if we find anything cool. We start checking them, and I kid you not, within 10 minutes he spots a quarter that looks off. Turns out it was an error coin worth over $500. He went from skeptical to completely obsessed, and now he checks every quarter he gets. Before you know it, he's texting me photos of coins every other day asking, is this one worth anything? Moral of the story: never underestimate your spare change. It might just be the best investment you never knew you had. Conclusion and call to action. So what did we learn today? That pocket change isn't just for vending machines and parking meters. The 2000p Ellis Island Washington quarter could be worth $1 million if it has the right errors. Now here's what you need to do: check your change, look for that golden hue, any doubling on the lettering or off-center designs, and if you find one, congratulations, you just won the rare coin lottery. And if you love learning about coins worth money and how to turn pocket change into real cash, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time about rare coins, error coins, and secret coin hunting tips you won't want to miss. Imagine this: you're grabbing some quarters for a vending machine snack, totally normal day, when suddenly you spot one that looks a little different. You shrug, drop it in the machine, and walk away. Fast forward a few months, you find out that very same quarter, yes, the one you traded for a bag of stale pretzels, was actually worth a cool $1 million. That's right, $1 million. Before you start frantically dumping out your piggy bank, stick around, because today we're talking about the 2001p Ellis Island Washington quarter and what makes some of them worth life-changing money. Let's go. Alright, first things first. The 2001p Ellis Island Washington quarter was part of the U.S. Mint's 50-state quarters program. If you were around in the early 2000s, you probably remember people obsessively collecting these quarters like they were Pokemon cards. But not all of them are created equal. So why is this specific quarter worth a jaw-dropping $1 million? It all comes down to errors. And no, not the kind of error where you accidentally text your ex at 2 a.m. We're talking rare minting mistakes that send collectors into a frenzy. Point: one of the biggest reasons this coin is so valuable is a double die error. That means the design was struck twice, causing slight doubling on the letters or details of the coin. It's like when you try to take a selfie, but your hand shakes just enough to make it look like you have two noses. Except in this case, the mistake is worth a fortune. Then there's the off-center strike. Some of these 2001p quarters were struck way off balance, making them look like they slid off the minting press mid-process. These kinds of mistakes are rare, and rarity equals cash. And if you're really lucky, you might have a wrong planchet error. That means your quarter was accidentally struck on a coin blank meant for another type of coin, like a nickel or even a foreign currency. It's like showing up to work wearing two different shoes. Somehow it still functions, but people will definitely notice. So, how do you check if you've got one of these rare beauties? Grab a magnifying glass or your phone's zoom camera. Look closely at the letters and numbers for any doubling. Check if the design seems shifted or misaligned. The more off-center, the better. Weigh your coin. A regular Washington quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours is significantly different, you might have a planchet error. Personal story now: let me tell you a little story about my cousin Mike. Mike isn't into coins at all. To him, a quarter is just 25 cents, and that's it. Point: one day, he's cleaning out his car. Finally, when he finds a weird-looking quarter in the cup holder, instead of just tossing it in his pocket, he sends me a picture and asks, "Hey, is this one of those expensive coins you always talk about?" I take one look and nearly drop my phone. It had a clear off-center strike. He thought it was just a beat-up old quarter. But after some research, we found out it was worth over $2,000. Imagine that, just sitting in his car, next to some melted candy and an old receipt from 2019. Lesson learned. Always check your change, because you never know when you're holding on to a fortune. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? Some 2001 Ellis Island, Washington quarters could be worth up to $1 million. And the secret is in the errors. That everyday change in your pocket could be hiding something special. If you love learning about valuable coins and how to find them, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I post videos on rare coins, hidden treasures, and how to turn pocket change into serious cash. You don't want to miss out. Imagine this: you're paying for your morning coffee, you hand over a quarter, and the cashier just casually takes $5 million from you. Sounds insane, right? But what if I told you that the 2005 Ellis Island, Washington quarter could be worth that much? That's right, $5 million. Now, before you start flipping over couch cushions and emptying your pockets like a mad scientist, stick with me. I'm about to break down why this coin is so valuable, how to spot one, and how you could be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Let's dive in. Alright, so what makes this quarter so special? It's part of the state quarters program, and while most of them are worth, well, a quarter, there's a rare version of the 2005 Ellis Island quarter that's worth life-changing money. First, this quarter has a bizarre minting error. Some of them were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of the usual copper-nickel mix, they were accidentally made using pure silver or even an experimental alloy. That's like ordering fast food and getting a 5-star meal by mistake. Except, in this case, the mistake is worth millions. Second, there's a rare double die error on some of these coins. If you look closely, you might notice that some of the letters or details look slightly doubled. It's like the coin had a few too many cups of coffee and got a little shaky while being minted. And finally, the holy grail of errors, off-center strikes. Some of these quarters were struck way off, making George Washington look like he's trying to escape off the side of the coin. These types of errors drive collectors crazy in the best way possible, sending values skyrocketing. So how do you know if you have one of these million-dollar gems? Grab a magnifying glass or, let's be real, just zoom in with your phone. Look for a different metal composition. If it has a weird shine or sounds different when dropped, you could be holding a silver strike version, double letters, or blurry details. If anything looks like it's been copy-pasted on top of itself, jackpot, a misaligned or off-center image. If George looks like he's trying to make a run for it, you just won the coin lottery. Personal story now. Let me tell you about my cousin Mike. Mike is not a coin guy. In fact, he once tried to clean a rare coin with toothpaste. Don't ask. Anyway, one day he was going through a handful of change at a gas station when he noticed a quarter that looked a little off. Instead of spending it on gum like a normal person, he texted me a picture. Turns out he had an error quarter worth a couple $1,000. Not bad for a coin he almost gave away for a pack of breath mints. Moral of the story? Always check your change, because fortune favors the curious. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? Your pocket change might be worth way more than you think, and the 2005 Ellis Island quarter could be your golden ticket if you know what to look for. Now, before you go tearing through your piggy bank, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos all the time on rare coins, money-making finds, and hidden treasures in everyday places. Imagine this: you're grabbing a handful of change to pay for your morning coffee when you spot a 1999 Ellis Island, Washington quarter. You think nothing special, right? Just another quarter. Wrong. What if I told you that one of these bad boys recently sold for $9 million? That's right, this little 25-cent coin could be worth more than a mansion. Before you flip over every couch cushion in your house, stick around, because today we're diving into why this coin is so insanely valuable, how to spot one, and how you might just have a fortune hiding in your pocket. First things first, why is this particular 1999 Ellis Island quarter worth so much? Well, a few key things make it a jackpot coin. The first and biggest reason is a super rare minting error. Now, when the US Mint strikes coins, they try to be as precise as possible, but sometimes mistakes happen, and in the coin collecting world, mistakes mean money. One of these rare errors involves a misalignment in the design. Imagine George Washington looking slightly off to the side like he just heard someone call his name from across the street. That little misalignment is actually a huge deal, and collectors go wild for it. Then there's the fact that some of these quarters were accidentally struck on experimental planchets. Planchets are just fancy coin talk for blank metal discs. These experimental coins have a different composition, making them heavier and giving them a slightly different color. They're like the secret menu item of the coin world. Hard to find but worth it when you do. And then there's the ultra-rare double die error. This means some of these quarters have letters or numbers that look doubled, like they had one too many cups of coffee when they were made. If you spot a doubling effect, especially on the word liberty or the date, you might just be holding a piece of history worth millions. Now you might be thinking, okay, cool, but how do I know if I have one of these? Well, grab your coin stash and start looking for these key signs. 1. Check if the coin has a slightly off-center design. George Washington shouldn't be looking too far to the left or right. If he is, you might have a rare error. 2. Hold the quarter under a light and look closely at the text. If you see a doubling effect, congratulations, you might be looking at a valuable coin. 3. Do the drop test. A regular quarter makes a standard clinking sound when dropped on a table, but if yours has a slightly different ring to it, it could be an experimental planchet error. Personal story now. Let me tell you a quick story about my cousin Mike. Mike wasn't a coin collector. In fact, the only time he cared about quarters was when he needed one for the vending machine. One day, he found an old quarter in his car's cup holder, and for some reason, instead of spending it, he looked it up. Turned out it was a rare error coin worth over 15 grand. The guy went from ignoring coins to carrying a magnifying glass everywhere he went. I swear he even started checking other people's change at the grocery store. Moral of the story: never underestimate the power of a single coin, because you never know when you're holding a hidden fortune. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? 1. Check your quarters, especially the 1999 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter, because you could be sitting on $9 million. 2. Pay attention to those tiny details, because errors are what make these coins valuable. 3. Don't be like Mike and ignore your change. You could be missing out on life-changing money. And if you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time about rare coins, valuable finds, and tips to help you turn your spare change into serious cash. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, paying for some snacks, and the cashier hands you a quarter. No big deal, right? Just a regular 25 cents. But wait. What if I told you that quarter could actually be worth $3 million? Yep, that's right. $3 million. Before you start frantically digging through your car cup holder or flipping your couch cushions inside out, stick around. Today, I'm going to tell you all about the rare and valuable 2003 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter, what makes it worth a fortune, and how you might just have one sitting in your change jar. Let's start with the basics. The 2003 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was part of the state quarters program, which was a huge deal in the early 2000s. People were collecting them like crazy, thinking they'd all be worth something one day. Most of them, not so much. But this one, a total game changer. So what makes this specific quarter worth $3 million? Well, a few things. First, there's a super rare minting error that happened when some of these coins were struck. Instead of being perfectly centered, some of them were misaligned, making George Washington's face look like he's leaning forward, as if he just overheard someone say his face is on a multi-million-dollar coin. Second, some of these quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets instead of the standard copper nickel. That's like ordering a regular coffee and getting a fancy espresso shot for free. If you've got one of these, congratulations, you're halfway to a fortune. And the biggest factor? A die crack error running through the word liberty. Die cracks are little imperfections that happen when the coin press gets worn out. Think of it like wrinkles on an old treasure map. In this case, the wrinkle is worth millions. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if I have one? Great question. Here's how you check. First, grab a magnifying glass, or let's be honest, just zoom in with your phone. Look for that misalignment on Washington's face. Next, drop the quarter on a hard surface and listen to the sound. A silver quarter will make a high-pitched ting compared to a regular one dot. And finally, check the word liberty. If you see a fine crack running through the letters, you might just have hit the jackpot. Personal story now. Let me tell you about my cousin, Jake. Jake's not really into coins. He thinks they're just for parking meters and scratch-off tickets. But one day, he found an old quarter in his car's cup holder and thought, let's look this up. Turns out he had a rare error coin worth $5,000. Not quite $3 million, but still enough to make him do a little happy dance in his driveway. He called me, freaking out, asking, "Bro, what do I do?" I told him, first, breathe. Second, don't spend it on fast food. Long story short, he sold it, took his girlfriend on vacation, and now he checks every coin he gets. Moral of the story? Even if you don't think you care about coins, you might care about what they're worth. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? Your spare change could literally be worth a fortune. The 2003 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter with these rare errors is worth up to $3 million. And one could be sitting in your pocket right now. If you love finding out about rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post all the time about valuable coins, secret coin hunting tips, and how to turn your pocket change into big money. Imagine this: you're at the grocery store, you hand over a $20 bill, and the cashier gives you some change back. You glance at your coins, about to shove them in your pocket, when suddenly, boom, you spot a 2020 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter. No big deal, right? Wrong. Because if you have the right one, you could be sitting on a coin worth a jaw-dropping $7 million. That's right, $7 million. That's the kind of money that makes you rethink all your life choices, like why you ever paid full price for anything. But what makes this quarter so valuable? How do you know if you have the jackpot coin? And where should you be looking? Stick with me and I'll break it all down. First things first, let's talk about the 2020 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter. Now, this coin was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which ran from 2010 to 2021. The Ellis Island design actually appeared earlier in the series, but here's where it gets wild. Some 2020 quarters were struck with a major error, and that's what makes them worth life-changing money. So what's the error? And why is someone willing to pay $7 million for it? Well, buckle up because this is where things get interesting. Point 1. There's a misalignment error that makes George Washington's face look like he's slightly turning away, like he just heard someone say, "Hey, that quarter could be worth millions." If you see this slanted design, hold on to that coin. 2. Some of these were struck on a leftover silver planchet from an old batch. That's like accidentally getting a gourmet steak when you ordered fast food. Completely unexpected, but way more valuable. A regular 2020 quarter is supposed to be a copper-nickel mix, but these rare silver ones have a bright shine and sound different when you drop them. Point 3. There's a doubling effect on the lettering, specifically in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." This means the text looks like it has a shadow, kind of like George Washington's trying to make a dramatic exit. These double-die errors can make the coin worth thousands, if not millions. Now, how do you check if you have one? 1. Grab a magnifying glass or zoom in with your phone. Look at Washington's face and the text. Any weird doubling? That's a great sign too. Do the sound test. A silver planchet will have a distinct ringing sound compared to a regular quarter. Just drop it on a hard surface and listen. If it sings like a tiny money angel, congratulations. 3. Check the overall condition. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, some minor errors can still make your quarter worth hundreds or thousands. That's a pretty good trade for something you got as change from a vending machine. Personal story now, let me tell you a quick story. My buddy Jake, he's not a coin guy. He's the kind of guy who thinks all quarters are just 25 cents. One day he's doing laundry, finds some change in his pocket, and, out of pure boredom, decides to look up one of the coins. Turns out he had a rare error quarter worth over $5,000. Now here's the best part. He didn't believe it at first, so he almost spent it on a bag of chips. I had to talk him down like, "Dude, do not buy Doritos with that." He finally took it to a dealer, got it verified, and boom, $5,000 in his pocket. Not bad for a random quarter from his jeans. Right? Moral of the story? Always check your change, because the next time you get a quarter back from a store, it might just be the ticket to your dream vacation or even early retirement. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? The 2020 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter has some crazy valuable error versions, and if you're lucky enough to find one, you could be sitting on a $7 million payday. Imagine that, retiring off a single quarter. Now, if you want more tips on valuable coins, rare errors, and how to turn pocket change into big bucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin hunting secrets coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Imagine this. You're paying for your coffee, and the cashier hands you a random quarter. You pocket it without a second thought. But what if that simple little coin was actually worth 7 million dollars? That's right, 7 million. Sounds crazy, right? But there's a 2017 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter out there that could make you an instant millionaire. And guess what? It might be hiding in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or even that random change jar sitting on your kitchen counter. Stick around because I'm going to tell you exactly what makes this quarter so valuable, how to spot one, and why you should never ignore your spare change again. Alright, let's break this down. The 2017 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series. This one features the Statue of Liberty with Ellis Island in the background, commemorating one of the most historic immigration sites in the U.S. But not all of these quarters are worth millions. Only a very specific type. So what makes this quarter worth 7 million bucks? A few key things. First, there's a super rare minting error where part of the Statue of Liberty's torch is missing. Yep, the very thing she's most famous for just vanished during the minting process. Maybe it was a Monday at the US Mint, and someone wasn't paying attention. But this tiny mistake? Worth millions. Then, there's the insane double die error. This means some of these quarters were struck twice, making Lady Liberty look like she's in 3D without needing those funky red and blue glasses. If your quarter has a weird, shadow-like doubling on the lettering or Liberty's face, you might just be sitting on a fortune. And the rarest of the rare? A few of these were mistakenly struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel ones. That's like ordering a regular cheeseburger and getting a 5-star gourmet meal instead. The weight, the sound, and even the shine are different. If your quarter looks too fancy, it could be worth millions. So how do you know if you've got one of these golden tickets? Grab a magnifying glass. Or let's be real, just use the zoom on your phone. Check for any missing details on the torch or weird doubling on the design. Do the sound test. Drop it on a hard surface and listen. If it gives off a high-pitched ting instead of a dull clank, you might have a silver planchet error. Weigh it. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If yours is a little off, it could be a jackpot coin. Personal story now, let me tell you about my cousin Mike. Mike is the kind of guy who thinks collecting coins is a waste of time. One day, he's over at my house, and I'm sorting through my change. He looks at me and says, "Dude, why are you wasting time with pennies and quarters?" I told him, "Because some of these are worth real money." He laughed, grabbed a quarter from my pile, and went, "All right, what's this one worth?" I looked at it, and my heart stopped. It was a 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter with a doubling error. I told him, that's worth at least a few thousand." The man went silent. He had just spent 10 of these at the gas station earlier that day. You have never seen a man so devastated in your life. He even debated going back to the gas station to check their register. Moral of the story? Always check your change. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? The 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter could be worth $7 million. But only if it has the right errors, missing torch details, a double die mistake, or a rare silver strike. Now it's time to go on a treasure hunt. Check your pockets. Check your car. Check that random change jar in the kitchen. You never know what's hiding in plain sight. And if you love learning about rare coins that could make you rich, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos all the time about valuable coins, coin hunting tricks, and how to turn your spare change into serious cash. Imagine this. You're standing in line at the grocery store, about to pay for a pack of gum, and the cashier hands you some change. You glance down, see a 2016 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter, and almost toss it into your pocket without a second thought. But wait, what if I told you that little quarter could be worth $6 million? Yep, $6 million. That's not just a little extra gas money. That's life-changing. Before you run to dig through your couch cushions and raid every coin jar in the house, stick around. I'm going to tell you exactly what makes this quarter so valuable, how you can spot one, and why you should always check your spare change. The 2016 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter is part of the America the Beautiful series, featuring historic sites from all over the country. Ellis Island, the gateway for millions of immigrants, is honored on this coin. But here's the wild part. Not all of these quarters are created equal. So, What makes some of them worth 6 million bucks? First up, we've got an insane minting error. Some of these quarters were struck on experimental planchets. Instead of the usual copper-nickel mix, a few were mistakenly struck on silver planchets left over from another coin series. That's like ordering a regular coffee and getting a gourmet latte for free. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes like this can be worth a fortune. Second, certain 2016 P quarters have a major misalignment error. In some cases, George Washington's portrait is slightly shifted, making it look like he's either dodging a dodgeball or throwing a side eye at someone who just said coins aren't worth collecting. Spoiler alert, they are. Lastly, die cracks. These are tiny fractures in the coin's design that happen when the minting press gets a little too enthusiastic. Some of the rarest 2016 P quarters have visible die cracks near the Ellis Island building, making them highly sought after by collectors. So, how do you know if you have one of these jackpot quarters? Grab a magnifying glass, or let's be real, just use your phone camera and zoom in. Look for a different sound when you drop the coin. Silver coins have a distinct, higher-pitched ting compared to regular quarters. Any misalignment in the design, especially if George Washington looks like he's subtly judging you. Visible cracks or odd marks near the Ellis Island image. Personal story now, let me tell you about my buddy Mike. Mike used to think collecting coins was, and I quote, something only grandpas do. Then, one day, he was cleaning out his car and found a quarter wedged between the seats. He almost spent it on a vending machine snack but decided to look it up first. Turns out, he had a rare error quarter worth over $5,000. He called me freaking out like, dude, I think I just found a gold mine in my car. And that's how Mike went from coin skeptic to full-on treasure hunter. Moral of the story? Always check your change. You never know when your next vending machine quarter could actually be worth millions. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? 1. Never underestimate your pocket change. 2. The 2016 P. Ellis Island Washington quarter with rare errors could be worth $6 million. And 3. Always check between your car seats. You might find more than just old French fries. If you love finding hidden treasures in your everyday life, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time about rare coins, coin hunting tips, and how to turn your spare change into real cash. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, you get some change back, and you barely glance at it before stuffing it in your pocket. But what if I told you that little quarter you just ignored could be worth $5 million? Yeah, you heard me right. 5 million bucks. Now, before you start flipping over your couch cushions and raiding every coin jar in your house, hold on. I'm about to break down exactly why this rare 2015 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter is making collectors go crazy, what makes it so valuable, and how you can find one. Because, let's be real, who wouldn't want to turn a 25-cent coin into a life-changing fortune? Alright, let's get into it. The 2015 D. Ellis Island quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, featuring historical sites across the U.S. It's a beautiful coin, but here's the thing. Not all of them are just worth 25 cents. Some of them have a serious payday attached. So why is this specific quarter worth $5 million? 3 main reasons. First, we've got a rare striking error. Some of these coins were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchet, making them weigh slightly more or less than a normal quarter. If your quarter feels off in weight, you might be holding a fortune. Second, there's a misprint in the design. Some quarters were struck with a weird doubling effect, making the text or image appear slightly shadowed or blurry. If George Washington looks like he's got a twin, that's a good sign. Third, a die break error. This is when a crack appears on the coin's surface due to a worn-out die. It gives the quarter a unique texture, and collectors go wild for these imperfections. It's like finding a factory defect on a rare sneaker. Flaws make it worth more. Now, here's the million, or should I say, $5 million question. How do you know if you have one of these rare quarters? Step 1. Grab a magnifying glass or just zoom in with your phone camera. Check for doubling on the letters or the image. Step 2. Weigh the coin. A standard quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter, jackpot potential. Step 3. Look for cracks or imperfections. A tiny break in the design could mean big money. Personal story now, let me tell you about my buddy Mike. Mike isn't a coin collector. In fact, he thought looking at coins was about as exciting as watching paint dry. But one day, he was cleaning out his car and found a quarter under the seat that just looked different. Instead of tossing it into a vending machine, he decided to check it out. Turns out, he had a rare error coin worth over $20,000. The man called me, freaking out, like, "Bro, I just found a car payment in my floor mats." And that's when he realized coins aren't just spare change. They're hidden treasures. Moral of the story? Always check your quarters. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? That sometimes, a simple quarter could be worth more than a mansion. The 2015 D. Ellis Island quarter with the right errors is one of those hidden gems. And if you want to learn more about valuable coins, rare finds, and how to turn your spare change into serious cash, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time, breaking down the biggest coin discoveries and tips for spotting them. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, you get some change back, and there it is, a 2011 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter. You toss it in your pocket like it's nothing. But what if I told you that little piece of metal could be worth a jaw-dropping $1 million? That's right. 1 million. The kind of money that could get you a dream vacation, a fancy sports car, or at the very least, a lifetime supply of tacos. The question is, do you have one of these rare coins sitting in your pocket right now? Let's find out. So what makes this quarter so insanely valuable? Well, not every 2011 D. Ellis Island quarter is worth a fortune. But a select few have something special going on. And no, I don't mean they were blessed by the coin gods, though it sure feels that way. First, let's talk about minting errors. This is where things get crazy. Some of these quarters were struck on the wrong metal planchet. Instead of the usual copper-nickel blend, a few were mistakenly printed on silver planchets. That means they have a different weight and sound. If you drop a regular quarter and then drop a silver one, the silver one has a distinct ringing sound. It's like the coin is singing to you, saying, "I'm worth $1 million." Then there's the misalignment error. Some of these quarters were struck off-center, making George Washington's head look like he's trying to sneak out of the coin. If you find one of these, you might just have a jackpot on your hands. And let's not forget die cracks. These are small cracks that appear when the coin die gets worn out. Think of it like wrinkles on a wise old face. But instead of being a sign of aging, these little cracks can mean serious money. So how do you check if you've got one of these $1 million quarters? First, grab a magnifying glass, or just zoom in with your phone camera. Look for any weird misalignment or cracks along the edges. Second, listen to the sound test. Drop it on a hard surface. If it makes a higher pitched ringing sound, it could be silver. Third, weigh it. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter, something's up. Personal story now, let me tell you about a buddy of mine. Let's call him Mike. Mike wasn't a coin collector. He didn't care about quarters unless they were helping him buy coffee. One day, he was at a gas station. He paid with a 20, got some change, and just shoved it in his pocket. Later that night, we were hanging out, and I saw him casually tossing a quarter in the air like it was nothing. I grabbed it and immediately noticed something was off. It had that weird off-center design. We looked it up and boom. Turns out he had an ultra-rare misprint. It wasn't $1 million coin, but he sold it for over $5,000. That's an expensive cup of coffee if you ask. Moral of the story, always check your change, because you never know when your next gas station trip might turn into a jackpot moment. Conclusion and call to action. So what did we learn today? First, don't underestimate your spare change. Second, if you have a 2011 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter lying around, you might want to give it a second look. And third, if you want to hear more stories about rare coins and how to turn your pocket change into serious cash, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I drop new videos all the time on rare coin finds, hidden treasures, and strategies to help you make money from the coins you already have. So turn on those notifications, check your pockets, and I'll imagine this. You're paying for your morning coffee, you hand the cashier a quarter, and they give you a weird look. You think, what? Is my money no good here? Turns out, you just casually spent a coin worth $4 million. Yep, that's right. There's a 2014 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter floating around out there that could make you an instant millionaire. Now, before you start emptying your piggy banks and checking under your car seats, stick with me because I'm going to break down exactly what makes this coin so valuable and how you can find one. Body. All right, first things first. The 2014 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, which featured different national parks and historic sites. Ellis Island, one of the most famous immigration ports in U.S. history, was honored on this coin. But here's the kicker. Not all of these quarters are worth millions. There are a few things that set the rare ones apart from the regular pocket change. Number 1. There's a specific minting error that happened on a handful of these coins. Instead of the usual perfect strike, some of these quarters show a misalignment that makes George Washington look like he's leaning forward. Maybe he's trying to listen in on this video because he wants to cash in too. Number 2. Some of these quarters were mistakenly struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel composition. That means if your quarter has a slightly different shine or a high-pitched ping, when you drop it on a hard surface, you might be holding a rare gem. Number 3. There's a die crack error on some of these that creates a visible line running across the surface. Die cracks are like wrinkles on a wise old face. They make the coin unique and, in this case, ridiculously valuable. So how do you know if you've got the golden ticket? Grab a magnifying glass or just zoom in with your phone and check for these signs. Look for George Washington doing his best. I'm interested. Drop the coin on a table and listen for that silver ting. Check for a tiny crack running across the coin's surface. Personal story now. Let me tell you about my cousin, Jake. Jake used to think coin collecting was boring. He'd roll his eyes every time I told him to check his change. Then one day he was grabbing lunch, and the cashier handed him a quarter that looked off. It had an unusual shine, and for once in his life, he actually listened to me. That night, he called me in full-blown panic mode. "Dude, I think I found something." We checked it together, and sure enough, it was a rare mint error quarter worth over $5,000. Not quite $4 million, but still way more than a 25-cent value. The best part? Now, Jake checks every coin he comes across, and suddenly I'm not the crazy coin-collecting friend anymore. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? Always check your quarters. That 2014 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter with the right errors could change your life. It's literally free money sitting in your pocket, and you just have to know what to look for. If you love learning about valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time about rare coins, coin hunting strategies, and how to turn your spare change into a fortune. Now go check your pockets, your couch cushions, and that random jar of coins in your kitchen. Who knows? You might be sitting on a $4 million payday.